The following episode may contain major spoilers for any adventure or plot details contained within the material. We strongly encourage players who are about to embark upon this adventure to stop and ask themselves if they really want to ruin the experience that their friends are crafting for them. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another episode of Legend Lore, the podcast series where two dungeon masters flip through one tabletop RPG book at a time, giving their insights on the pros and cons of the publication in question. Hi, I'm Adam, and with me is Dan, and today we're going over our thoughts on the Wizards of the Coast product, Quests from the Infinite Staircase. Before we get into this product, though, let me ask a couple of questions, so let's roll initiative.
I'm going to go with yellow.
Like your belly.
All right, well, I got a 15.
I got a 19. All right, so the first question is, what do you know about this book going into it? I actually know a bunch about it, and you told me beforehand that you know sweet fuck all about it.
You're like, we're going to give our thoughts on the Wizards of the Coast product, Quests of the Infinite Staircase. I'm like, oh, it's called Quests of the Infinite Staircase. Not just Staircase, which has been the shorthand that we've had, and I have not bothered to look it up. I'm like, it's a legend lore, I'll figure it out. I know nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right, so the thing that I know about this is this contains 6 classic, redone for 5th edition D&D short dungeons/adventures.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of like...
It's a yawning portal.
It's a yawning portal. Okay, cool.
All right, so it's not a Radiant Citadel. It's not a Candlekeep. It's a yawning portal.
Okay.
Right, so it's a...
From...
Golden Vault, right?
From 1st and 2nd edition, or...
I believe it's from 1st and 2nd edition. Like,
okay.
It's old school. I don't think there's 3.5 in here. So,
okay.
Or 4th. So,
one of these days, they'll start taking 3.5 and 4th modules as, legacy that need to be updated.
Well, they gave us 3.5 campaign settings. So, like we have Eberron, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But, I mean, I would love to see Cauldron redone. I would love to see Age of Worms redone. I would love to see
no, you wouldn't.
Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil redone.
They barely went to the Elemental Evil in the first place. So,
I mean, I think it was a third-party thing that they reprinted with updated rules.
Could be.
Anyways.
But anyway, this guy here is 6 adventures. You're not allowed to look at them yet, Dan.
Prick.
Keep your hands off them. But what do you hope to see in this book?
I don't know. There's a genie on the cover, so I want... There's a genie and the word cosmic. So I'm like, I want weird. Give me some weird. Make it weird.
It's going to get weird. There's some weird in here.
Cool.
All right. I hope to see some decent monster stat blocks that are fleshed out in the back.
Sure.
Because Yawning Portal gave us a bunch of reduced threat this and juvenile that, which were just... Yeah, like in the classic adventure, you would fight this big scary monster, but now, because it's 5th ed and the players need to live every single time, we're going to lowball it to you. So.
I do got to say that if it didn't become translated over the audio medium, I did make a fart noise with my mouth.
Sure.
It's important to get the point across.
All right.
Oh, you're doing the edit on this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Chaos. Let's do it.
So, what are your concerns about the book? What do you not want to see in this?
We are at the tail end. This is the last release of 5th edition then, isn't it? Or would that make it?
Nope, this is the last release of 5th edition.
Okay, so I don't want to see a wet fart in the wind of content. I am worried that this is just going to be the last little gasping breath of a rule set that everyone knows is changing. So I would like to see things that will be usable in what I am refusing to call 5.24 or whatever the fuck on 5.5.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I know. Okay, so here's what I'm expecting out of this book. I'm expecting that this is actually a little like underhand pass to the players that are the legacy players that want to play the classics. I think new players are not going to give a fuck about this, although I hope I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be one of the classic ones. You will immediately recognize the name of, I think, all 6 of these adventures.
Okay, cool.
So, but I know that you look at the last 3 publications that they've given us, the Book of Many Things was a absolutely phenomenal resource. It is amazing, and I picked up the full box set that has the decks. There's multiple of them in the extra book, and it's beautiful. But the DM inspiration in just the standard book, fucking amazing.
Cool.
So they knocked it out of the park with that one. Then it was Planescape, which was too much money and not enough details. The adventure looked cool. The rest of it was a bit of a wet fart. We just recently did the Planescape episode. I think we dropped it like last week or this week even. But I was not impressed with the book.
I think I did that with you, right? That was
no,
you and me?
No, that was me and Casey and Mieka. I think
Okay.
you and I went through the legend lore on it.
Oh, yeah.
So I learned to love Planescape, but not that book.
Yeah,
So, and then they gave us Vecna, Eve of Ruin, which looks like it might be, A, that was their 50th anniversary release, and B, the last proper adventure of 5th edition, and C, it's a return to the biggest villain of Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah,
And,
arguably, but yeah.
Well, you give or take a Lolth or Tiamat, but but and they fucking killed it. It was so fucking good the way that book.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So
Brad has started to run it for his group, so I'm like, I might take a look at it and see if there's any.
do you know if he started yet? Because
I think he started. He power leveled his characters to
level 10.
By power level, I mean they were in an existing campaign and ended at level 8, so he just gave them 2 levels and here you go.
That is too bad because there is a D&D Beyond release of a lead-in adventure to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so which is actually pretty good.
Okay.
So it's only like a session and a half probably. So anyway, this is the last one, and I say all this to say, as great as some of the other stuff is that they've been doing, they fired half of their staff.
Yeah.
Back before Christmas. Right when the development of this was really picking up, and when all of their A-listers were shifting onto the New Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual.
Yeah.
So I expect that this is probably the opportunity for them to get the experienced guys that are not the A-listers, like the solid B team, to get more experience, cut their teeth on stuff if they're relatively new. And it's not too challenging because they're adapting from previous material.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a bit of an underhanded serve, but I'm going into this book with the same level of expectation I went into the Sam Worthington
Clash of the Titans?
Clash of the Titans.
Sure.
Which is a objectively bad movie that I fucking loved because I went into it with 0 expectations.
Sure.
Right? And I went, that doesn't make sense because of basic Greek mythology, but I'm in. So
Look, they have, in my opinion, they just smashed together whatever lore they wanted for Dragonlance, Spelljammer, and Planescape for those adventures. We'll keep what we want. We'll get rid of the other stuff. Fuck the timeline. Doesn't matter. Here it is. And then on top of that, they've given us keys from the Golden Vault. They've given us Radiant Citadel. They've given us the first half of the Shattered Obelisk, which is just a reprint of the Lost Mines. So there's been a lot of half adventures, kind of dungeons, short stories.
even Ghosts of Saltmarsh, if you want to go back that far, it is still kind of incomplete.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true of our biggest complaint when you and I went through Candlekeep was that the framing device sucked and we didn't get enough Candlekeep. That was my fucking comment for Tales from the Yawning Portal. It doesn't take place in the Yawning Portal. If you want the Yawning Portal, go to Waterdeep.
Yeah.
Right? So there's... I am starting to understand their methodology for these anthology series, which is we will have the very loosest premise in case people want to tie it together. We'll give them 30 pages of, sure, you can
30
figure it
pages,
out.
that many, huh?
It's something like that, right? But I mean, that includes your intro, your preface, and your 2 new backgrounds and 1 feat, and right, and then an explanation of these 4 locations, 2 paragraphs apiece, 6 splash pages of art. You're not getting much. But then the adventures themselves tend to be pretty solid. When you get into the chapters...
These are remakes. They're going to be solid.
Yep. My concern, of course, is that they'll be imbalanced, and we're not going to be able to figure that out today. We'd have to sit down and study it. So, but it should tell us at the beginning of each one what level of how many players, and then we should be able to just at a glance look at what the monsters are in it and go, yeah, that makes sense. And I'll tell you right now, every time that they do a dungeon, it's always a little bit more grueling when it's the classic shit.
It
right?
is, yeah.
So, we complain that it's too deadly. Or that it's not deadly enough for players in 5th edition. But the old anthologies, the classics, the Yawning Portal stuff, and it's pretty
You and
deadly.
I both share the opinion and I think you're a little bit more hardline on this than I am, but I think we're both in the same camp where it's D&D 5e is designed to make players survive their encounters.
It's hero fantasy.
It's hero fantasy. So both of us then take that and go, so we could throw harder things at them and test those limits.
Yes.
Right? And you do things like throw me in a camp with 31 hags, and I do things like, here's 150 undead Kuatoa summoning an undead god. Have fun. And make my party of level 8 adventurers take care of that. So, like, it's... and, oh yeah, we have to be done in half an hour. Let's go.
You guys were not supposed to fight the hags. You were supposed to sneak through. You guys ended up facing off against 4 of them. And
I just saw the one, and my knee-jerk reaction, because it was like 10 o'clock at night, was stab this thing. I need to move on. Like, kill this thing in one turn, and then move on with my life. Like, get out of here. And I whiffed my first 3 attacks, and then the rogue whiffed his 2 attacks, and I'm just like, well, fuck, we're done now.
And then the hag grinned and closed the door behind you.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, let's do this. Let me wake up my sisters. So
yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and I'm a big fan of that, but you should have never been in that room in the first place. So
I didn't know. Well, that's why I was peering in, and then I was trying to do it all stealthy, and then she turns and looks at you. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm quiet. Why? But yeah,
you're quiet. You opened the door and let the sunlight in, Dan. It doesn't matter how quiet you are. You understand that I told. You saw 2 sides of the building and said, there are no windows on this building. I'm gonna go peek without windows. I don't know what you expected. Anyways, I'm not defending myself. Let's roll initiative and let's crack this book open.
A 16.
I got another 19.
I got another 16.
All right. You know what? I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So I'm going to do the covers, and then you can take us through the...
I could sit back and drink my beer.
You can do that. It's a cosmic anthology. I fucking doubt it. Cosmic anthology, fuck right off. The infinite, you're familiar with the infinite staircase, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay, so for the people that aren't, it is the celestial side of the river Styx. It allows you to travel through all of the, I guess every plane, really, because
it's on every plane.
It's like an extra dimensional space in between that links everything, kind of like the astral plane does. But it is a staircase. It just has a million different doors with a million different aspects. So then we covered them. We covered it in one episode, actually. So
yeah, okay.
This is it's got the 50 anniversary.
50 gold embossed,
shiny,
and it's shiny.
Do you want to know what the 6 adventures are?
Sure.
Okay, so first of all, you can run these quests individually or as a campaign that takes characters from level 1 to 13.
Okay, cool.
So that's standard. That's standard
tracks.
5th edition. In alphabetical order,
Ugh.
just because that's how they listed it on the back. I'm sure it'll be by level in the book. Beyond the Crystal Cave.
Okay.
Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
Yes.
Pharaoh.
Oh.
The Lost Caverns of Sochcanth. The Lost City. And When a Star Falls.
So we're just hitting the Dave Arneson.
Hits,
hey?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So the artwork on the cover here is absolutely amazing. The premise here is that there is a noble genie named Nafas who hears wishes made throughout the multiverse and recruits heroes to fulfill them. And then these pleas summon adventurers to the adventures, and then he sends them out. So
cool. Yeah.
So you have an actual quest giver in the middle of the framing device instead of just, I don't know, books, which is what Candlekeep was.
Yeah.
Right? Or there's a bunch of portals, which was Radiant Citadel, right? So there's actually a quest giver here.
Cool.
So when you open it up, it always feels good to open it. We've got the lead designer is... We don't see Jeremy Crawford or Chris Perkins until we get to like the standard rules development level of shit here. Do I see Perkins anywhere?
I can't read upside down from this angle.
I don't.
Crawford's there.
Yeah, but he's rules developer only, so you can tell that they are they're game architects. They probably have very fucking little to do with this book, except like change the details as an editor to like on a quick pass or right. So this is what I mean.
This monster should be a CR5, not a CR4. You nub. Like
they are probably over busy. Well, as this is getting developed, they're doing interviews for D&D Beyond's YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
And fair, they've got a big push of other shit to do. This in 2024, this is the book that no one gives a shit about, which is ridiculous. But between Eve of Ruin and then the Player's Handbook and DMG, this is going to be
fair enough.
So
I gotta say, I love that collector's edition cover.
It's pretty good. I much prefer the standard covers. I always do. But disclaimer, Wizards of the Coast is not responsible for dubious interpretations of poorly worded wishes granted by noble genies or other almighty entities. Please send all complaints regarding ill-interpreted wishes to your dungeon master in the form of a strongly and carefully worded letter. Fair enough. And then we get...
It's like, what was it? The Call of the Netherdeep was like, personally write Matthew Mercer if you like...
Was that what it was?
Yeah, it's got something like that in it. So I'm like, this is better. This is better. Personally write your GM. I mean, if my GM cared about me, I think that would work. But he's a capricious, vile, and angry soul who takes out his aggressions on me.
And rightly so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's lots of aggressions that I've caused.
Yes.
This not an indictment.
No. So the table of contents here is relatively short. However, that doesn't mean there's not a lot of shit in it because it is mostly dungeon crawl, right? So, so we get 224 pages. But,
that's good.
But we start the first one. We go the intro on how to use the book, which is pretty standard. Chapter 1 is going to be the Infinite Staircase. Oh, remember I said 30 pages? There's 6.
Yeah, like I said, 30 pages is generous.
Yeah, and 2 of them are just Nafis, the genie.
Yeah.
So, like, all right. Not that there's a whole lot of info for the Infinite Staircase in the first place. It's just kind of like, everything's completely random and wild and just like, here's how you use it, do your best, right? So, and it's always been that. So, I don't weep about that. Then we get into the Lost City, then When the Star Falls, Beyond the Crystal Cave, Pharaoh, the Lost Cavern of Soskanth, which is my least favorite fucking word in Dungeons and Dragons. And then
I've got other ones.
And then Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
That's the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, and it wraps us up. Now, that takes us from page 15 for the first one up to page 190 for the end of the last one. So, what is that? 175 divided by 6? Yeah, we're in a range of, 30-ish pages a piece.
Yeah.
That feels about right, because you think all of these were little soft cover modules that were, and they were about 30 pages a piece, right? So, and then
they also didn't care about the look of the page either. They were just like, here's a wall of text, have fun.
Yeah. Here's the information. Would you like a random table of patrols for 3.5 pages? By the way, there's a lot of traps too. Like here's a hand wave.
Yeah.
So Appendix A is 4 pages of magic items and technology. I'm assuming technology because of the Barrier Peaks. And then Appendix B is 30 pages of monsters. So creatures. We are going to get, just at a quick look, Veggie Pygmies and Darrow get a reprint. I believe everything else here is new, including, and I'm skipping ahead here, the Gibberling, which I assume is a Gibberling, like a small Gibberling Mather. I don't know that for certain, but I assume. A Froghemoth Elder, someone called the Gardener.
Stop. A Froghemoth Elder?
Elder, yeah. Yeah. We get...
Froghemoths are like one of my favorite D&D animals. Like, yes, please.
I'd like to know what the wolf in sheep's clothing is. And we get a leprechaun.
We finally get a leprechaun.
Yeah, we finally get a leprechaun. So there we go. That's that. Why don't you take us through the introduction in chapter 1?
Introduction chapter 1. We got a nice little splash page art of a Sphinx at the top of the Infinite Stairway, or at least the top of this section of the Infinite Stairway. Probably a Gyno Sphinx, judging by it, but
yeah, cool. Looks like it.
All right. Ascend to adventure. Get it? Because it's stairs. So you ascend to... Okay, we're going to keep going. There is a little guide here about using the book. We've all done that. Plus a little history on each of the adventures that are printed within the book. So, Beyond the Crystal Cave, inspired by the works of Shakespeare. When a Star Falls is the first adventure to bear a Union Jack flag on its cover in 1984. Cool. The updated adventures designed for 4th level characters. Beyond the Crystal Cave is for 6th level. The Desert of Desolation series is where we got Pharaoh, the Lost Caverns of Sojkanth, which I've played, I believe.
There is a short lead-in adventure that's online that is like the first... It's a summary of the first third of that adventure. So
yeah, well, it was the first one that was it was a tournament when there were Dungeons and Dragons tournaments,
and there are rules in there about how to run it as a tournament. But I will say this: it's incomplete, and it ends on a to be continued by the book. And I will get into that in Monday's episode of Legend Lore Online. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
There is the adventure in this book The adventures in this book provide play across a broad range of levels. They can be strung together as a complete campaign using the infinite staircase to travel between them. And then it gives you a guide into how to actually build them and connect them as a campaign.
Good, because we did not fucking have that for Yawning Portal or Candlekeep, right?
Yeah. So next is where we start with the actual chapter 1, which is the actual infinite staircase, which gives you the features of how it works, what happens on it, a random chart for what the doors that you find on it are and what they look like.
What's the chart?
It's a D100.
Let me grab dice. 40.
That's a 4.
That's a 4.
That's a 4. Rusty metal hatch forged from dulled weapons.
I like that.
Yeah. Here, do it again. Let's do
a couple each.
Let's do 5.
All right. 95.
Ooh, 95 going on the other end. A fossilized shark jaws. They have locations as well. So one second. Fossilized shark jaws preceded by coral steps, which leads to a hut on the back of a dragon turtle on the elemental plane of water.
Oh, cool.
The rusty metal hatch leads you to the interior of a war machine in Acheron, a plane of infinite battle.
I love that. That's the one where the orcs and the goblinoids are consistently fighting.
Yeah. All right, I'll do a couple here.
65.
65.
That gets you an ornate upright coffin that expels a hostile swarm of bats when opened, and that leads to an empty crypt in the bowels of Castle Ravenloft, a fortress in the Shadowfell ruled by the vampire Count Strahd von Zarovich.
Hey, look, you could go from this into Curse of Strahd.
Yay!
Yay! Okay, one more for me. 17.
17 brings us to a meticulously carved half doors in 2 colors. This leads to a bustling gnomish factory on the plain of Bytopia. Fucking gnomes.
Cool.
All right, and last one. I rolled a 23.
Cascading waterfall that hums with song, which will lead you to a picturesque grotto on the plain of Elysium.
Nice. I want you to understand, listeners, Dan and I would be very content spending the rest of this episode just rolling on D100 tables.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to point out that to find the staircase, there's rules on how to actually find where the staircase is. Mm-hmm. There's another D10 chart that has we'll just do one of them.
8.
An 8, which is a permeable sapient mirror in a wizard's tower.
Cool.
Right? Just what they look like on your plane. But there is all sorts of ways to locate the doors and rules for the physical doors themselves.
The other interesting thing about the Infinite Staircase that I know, for those of you who don't, is that the staircase defies gravity and physics and
it's an MC Escher painting.
It is, right?
Yeah.
So
there's also encounters that can happen on the stairs. And some of these are combat encounters. What would be 100?
59.
59. Inky tendrils writhe from a fleshy door. To the far realm, 2 Githyanki warriors struggle to hold the door shut, and they call out to the party for aid.
Cool.
Okay, I want to do one. Here.
All
right. 13. Lucky 13.
A section of the staircase ahead is covered in shadowy webbing. The hazard is the iron shadow manifesting as a memory web. See Appendix B. What?
Okay.
Memory web, by the way, is bolded, so it is a creature.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to have the same effect as the River Styx would have, just by the idea of it, the name of it.
I'm also assuming that the Iron Shadow manifesting here, it should be something that exists in this.
Iron Shadow is a young red shadow dragon. He's an aspect of the Iron Shadow, a young red shadow dragon.
There you go.
Rises from, unless Iron Shadow is not, that's not a describing thing, but it's rather describing that it is an aspect, and that aspect is a dragon. I don't know.
Sure.
It's weird.
I'm sure it's going to be explained here.
Yeah. And then we get into Nefas. And Nefas is, or Nafis? Nefas? I don't know. Oh, Nefas. Nefas. I don't know. Anyways, it gives you kind of an idea of who he is, what he does, what he is doing, and why he is talking to your party, including how to frame the wishes he is able to grant.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
If you ask for a magical gift, he will bestow a supernatural charm. If you ask for a tale, he recites a story or poem. There's just cool things. And then there's the Censor of Dreams, which looks like a bar.
The censor... okay, you know what a censor is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't, this is not like a TV sensor that tells you what you can and can't say.
No, this is like a smoke machine.
Kind of. It's an incense smoke machine.
Yeah, it's a medieval smoke machine.
So when you picture the priest walking down the aisles between the pews and swinging on a chain, that lantern-looking thing with holes in it that's like giving out small tendrils of smoke, that is a sensor.
That's where Nafis lives.
Cool.
Instead of like a lantern.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so he beckons you within the lamp to start the adventure.
My favorite weapon that I've ever had in any D&D game that I've ever played was I had a battle sensor in 4th edition. I was briefly playing with a bunch of people that I met at a local gaming store, and they gave me a fucking silver sensor to swing around, and it would do fire damage.
Oh, cool.
If I crit, it would do additional fire damage because it would blow up the embers inside.
There's a bunch of cool things, but we do not have time. We're already going along.
Just list them. What do we got? Okay, so
there's noteworthy sights within his sensor, which are the foyer. It's foyer, not foyer. I will fight you. Den of Chronicles and the guest quarters and the Well of Destiny, which is a well that has like it picks up on the ambient magic of this infinite staircase, and you hear people's wishes as they come through it.
Nice.
So it's like, I wish to find a cure for this magical sickness. I wish for revenge on the one person who wronged me. I wish I were free of this cursed prison. Like things like that come streaming through, and you could just stand here and listen to the wishes of people all across the plains.
That would be... I would sit down as a DM, like, while they're all doing session 0 and talking amongst themselves and passing the books back and forth and all that shit, I'd be sitting down just thinking about all the different kinds of, like, sentient creatures there are in D&D, being like, what's a funny one, a serious one, and a tragic one? And I just write down a bunch of wishes, like, just off the top of my head, just so I've got shit to throw at them. That'd be horribly sad.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Iron Shadow is going to be the villain of this.
I think
the campaign side of this.
Yeah, of the Infinite Staircase side. Like,
yeah. The Iron Shadow adventure. The Iron Shadow spreads to a character's home world. Okay, so it's a thing. It's the nothing is kind of what the idea
from
Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Right? Leaving it a gray, apathetic husk, a survivor asks the characters to repair the damage. Like, there are adventures you could get off the staircase.
This is good.
That are separate. Anyways, first module, The Lost City.
So, it has been a long-ass time since I've gone through any of these, except Barrier Peaks and the Soaked Canth. So I'm pretty sure I've run The Lost City. I'm pretty sure... I've played in the Lost City. You didn't DM it for me, but I played the Lost City.
That was Brad, wasn't it? Not our Brad, but a different Brad.
Yeah. Old Wizard Brad.
Yeah.
So that was 20 years ago.
Maybe longer?
No, 20 years ago.
20 years ago, okay. I haven't done Pharaoh because I am typically ambivalent when it comes to like pharaohs and mummies and deserts and pyramids.
Oh, really? I prefer the Egyptian to the Greek.
I prefer the Greek to the Egyptian.
Most people do, and then of course every man out there thinks of the Roman Empire. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard about it. I never think about the Roman Empire.
Neither do I. Miyako's like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And I'm like when I watch, was Gladiator in Rome or was that in Athens? I can't tell you how little I think about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
We're dungeon masters. We have better things to fill our time with.
I think I said something similar to that, where I'm like, if I'm going to think about like these giant 1,000 years long empires that are spanning great... I'm going to think about Dune. I'm going to think about Star Trek. I'm going to think about Star Wars. I got other shit to do.
Yeah.
Come on now. So, anyway, The Lost City. Lost in the desert, the last great remnant of the once prosperous civilization rises from the dunes. Within the ziggurat awaits untold riches in the sunken city of Synidicia. Well, I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. Along with unexpected challenges, deadly threats, and the fallen kingdom's desperate inhabitants. I'm going to flip through this really quickly. The art in this is beautiful.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. This is the high standard of art that I've come to expect in late stage 5th edition.
Well, honestly, I think WotC got PP slapped a little bit with Bigby's, and then... Was it Bigby's that was the AI one? Yeah. They got PP slapped and went, okay, we got to take our art seriously. This is how serious the community does take it. So we have to take it as seriously because every single product since then has been stellar in the art.
Yeah, I think when they realized they were under the microscope, it's definitely a step above like what was it?
Sorko's Adventurer's Guide.
Oh well, that was just piss poor. When you go back to the days of Princes of the Apocalypse and what's another one? The Out of the Abyss.
Out of the Abyss, yeah.
Right. Even Curse of Strahd, the art is fairly dreary. It's dull. It's like,
well, it's supposed to be for Curse of Strahd.
Right, but it is
But
like
I get you. Yeah.
I don't like just the purple.
It's very like there's not a lot of.
It doesn't jump off the page to make you want to play it, right?
Yeah.
The way that Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft is the same thing, and it pops off the page to make you want to play it, right? So, anyway, getting into Lost City, there's information on the background of this area. Centuries ago, the city was the capital of a prosperous kingdom, blah, blah, blah. You get about a half page of it. And then using the infinite staircase. Nefas is a patron, and he summons the characters to the censor of dreams. I've heard the distressed prayers of a fallen people, ensnared by an ageless evil. So this is kind of that's your plot hook to get in. Then he teleports them there. Yay! A couple of adventure hooks each. They can do.
They're actually including adventure hooks.
Anthropological expedition or a desert caravan.
Okay, no, I love it. Cool.
Setting the adventure, if you want to do it in Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, or Mystara, where would you like to put it?
Mystara, really?
Yeah, they did this.
I think that's the Dave Arneson world, right? That's Mystara?
I want to say yes. Yeah.
We're probably wrong on that.
No, I want to say yes. That sounds very right to me. But I will say this. They've done that in recent publications as well.
Yeah.
Where they're like, hey, if you want to put this somewhere else, but they only ever give you like 3, and they rotate through. If you want to put it in Eberron or Greyhawk or wherever it is, I wish they would include Ravnica and Theros, but I don't think they're going to at this point. Little blurb about the original is what it's called, including who designed it, who developed it, editing, art, playtesting, all that. I think this was, it looks like it was a Dave Cook and Tom Moldvay.
Okay.
So, all right. Encountering a faction, entering the tomb complex, escaping the ziggurat. All of this is when you get your character advancement, so you will level 3 times.
Okay, cool.
We've got information about the denizens, including the cult of Zargon, information about the ziggurat itself, and then we get into the map, and this is a dungeon crawl. Random encounters inside the ziggurat are a rust monster, giant centipedes, an owlbear, hobgoblins, priests, commoners, guards, and then some specific to this adventure creatures as well, which I believe are probably humanoids. It's a 6 level, ziggurat that's somewhat buried in the dune that's sticking up out of it. So anyway, we get into the actual adventure itself. I'm seeing there's of course treasure, including rations that spoiled a long time ago, giant lizard, 5 guardians of Gorm. I don't know what that is. It says see Appendix B, so we'll get to it. There's a lot of them though. I assume that they're these cultists that we're dealing with.
Yeah, they look like cultists.
The Guardians of Gorm drum up a musical storm. There you go. So, we get a series of different masks in this as well, which is fun. There are a couple of different factions, a couple of different cults here that are kind of at war with each other. But again, we're dealing with dust mephits and a dire wolf.
They really leveled this down by the sound of it. Like, I remember the Lost City being quite a fight.
This is not the Lost City. This is the Lost City. So, sorry, I was thinking of Zost Kant.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is going to be something to get you through tier 1.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's what you're dealing with here. There are ghosts, and I mean, a ghost will fuck you up. I think at this point, you're level 3. There are 3 ghouls. That'll fuck you up. This is going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Undying enemy. Only fools challenge Zargon and his cultists. All who oppose them fail.
Zargon.
5 skeletons. 2 shadows.
Shadows will fuck you up.
Yeah, carrying crawler. An Onkeg, a Banshee. So there's actually, this is a grind. This sounds like it's actually a grind. It's a low-level grind, but you don't have resources at low level. So I expect there will be a lot of, throw the lantern and run!
Yeah.
Tier 5 alone is fairly large. The Masked Elf is a doppelganger. Oops, spoiler alert. So, 2 gargoyles, 2 ogres, 6 cultists.
You're fighting a lot of stuff here. I mean, all of those old modules, they were
just
excuses to fight for the most part.
Yeah. And
people didn't roleplay like they do in Critical Role back in 1980.
Yeah, you are completely correct. So
I mean, they probably did before you write to me, but still.
Zekrakich. Zargon the Returner rises from the lake of slime within the lair. That looks like a fucking problem if you look at that art right there.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So this is underneath the ziggurat. So,
cool.
Hold on just one sec. If I'm looking at the maps are even bigger than we think because each one of the squares is a 10 foot. Not a 5 foot. So, which is...
I love how they're fitting as much as they can in these things into the space that they have allotted for it. Like, there's a lot of content in these 30 pages.
There are. The Goblin Cliff Dwellings, Faction Strongholds. Okay, so the Underground City. You get to the Underground City at the end, and then there's nothing here that I can see about where to go next. It's just how you get into the Underground City through the entrance to the ziggurat, and there's this great big expansive city map here that's got a bunch of noteworthy sites, but they're very, very simple, and that's it. That's the end of the thing. So you could spin off your adventure out of this or head back to the Infinite Staircase.
Cool. My guess is you have to, you're freeing the people in this underground city. Like, there's all the souls of the people who are under the thumb of this ancient evil. These are the people that are under the thumb. You now have a place where your party can kind of return to, right? Sure. My guess is as Nafis will pull you back out of this.
Yeah.
And there'll be a doorway in a house somewhere in the...
Honestly, I just need to get to the Underground City so that I can give my guys a chance to go to a shop. They can go to a tavern and an inn. They can get a little bit of downtime. They can talk to their NPCs and have the NPCs say their goodbyes or become sidekicks or whatever before we move on to the next thing. And that was seriously fucking lacking in a lot of the other anthology sets. So I don't mind this at all.
Cool. So next is When a Star Falls, and it is... for centuries, the Tower of Heavens has stood silhouetted against the glittering night sky. The tower is a bastion of destiny where gifted sages peer into the future, doling out prophecies to visitors. This is designed for 4 to 6 fourth level characters.
Sure.
Okay. And then, oh man, this is from way back in the day. I don't think I ever played this, but I'm seeing Forge of the Kagusverfneblin and the Darrow Lair and the Tower of the Heavens, and then Start. There's a grid map to explore a mountain range.
Nice.
Cool. Of the Tagafed Mountains.
Is it like a hex grid?
It's a hex grid, yeah.
Cool.
The Shadow Elves. There's Blissful Giant Goats.
Well, I do need my giant goats to be blissful because if they end up like the ones in fucking Ragnarok, Love and Thunder, that was the only redeeming part of that entire fucking movie to me. I was the only one in the audience fucking dying.
I was dying during it. So this whole thing is mostly a hex crawl, and you got to find the tower, get to the tower. There's various things that you probably have to encounter in the midst of all that, but I'm seeing so many different fun little locations within the mountain range that you find, including Zverfneblin that are riding giant lizards, and this is probably the single greatest art of Zverfneblin I have seen in D&D 5e.
Amazing.
That is detailed and intricate. The NPCs here have personality. The lizards are animated. It's great.
Because the only one that we've really had that I can think of off the top of my head so far for Zverfneblin have been like a really short Vin Diesel.
Yep.
And and like with a shitty color palette, and I'm now on board.
And then it ends with a fight against a named red dragon, Grisdelfar.
Good dragon name.
Yep. And then you get a bunch of magic items at the end of it, and that's the end of that one. So a good little exploring adventure.
So, Beyond the Crystal Cave starts off with a splash page of just like two women who are clearly in love. They have been subtly implying LGBT shit. If you look at the art in Theros, they're like men very subtly like playing with each other's hair and shit. If you are paying attention and looking for it. It's nice to see artwork that is actually like not shying away from it, like put your money where your mouth is, and I'm glad they're doing that. The city of Cybar on the small island of Cyberet serves as a hub for fishing and trade. Its people are industrious and friendly, and they eagerly shares stories with visitors. One popular tale surrounds the Eternal Garden, a magical paradise created by two lovers ages ago. Legends state that the entrance to the garden lies deep within a crystal cave that whispers secrets of the future of those brave or foolish enough to enter. So there's your plot hook here. Is we need to go to the door to the Eternal Garden. Again, there's a hint about using the infinite staircase, a couple of adventure hooks. One of them is about, oh, your friends have gone missing. Setting the adventure. It gives you hints on where to put it in Dragonlance, Eberron, and Theros. Yay! Because that actually fucking makes sense. Ooh, for Karametra as well, which I believe we just released an episode on Karametra. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, Casey and Mieka knocked it out of the park on that one. So, yeah, God, what a classic from 1983. Good year. Great year, 1983. Lots of good things came about from 1983.
I can't think of a single one.
That's okay. Someday you'll learn. Saibar is a small fishing and port city. There are a DA table for rumors there, and then there's a Cave of Echoes. It's short. It's small. There's only 7 locations in it. But when you get through it all, it's actually really pretty. This is really, really just low-key pretty. There's a water elemental, and then crystals and music and a pool and a waterfall. Okay, now you get to the Eternal Garden encounters with leprechauns, satyrs, unicorns, and awakened trees, so on and so forth. There are...
A little splash of the Feywild.
It absolutely is. There are limericks. Dan, we get limericks.
Like actually limericks you can read out?
There's a lovely building just...
It's a random chat.
No, it's not actually. Like, you can roll a d6 if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have one on hand.
Sure.
So go ahead.
What was I said? There's a lovely building just here, with turrets and domes far and near. 'Tis a shame you can't spy it, as we urge you to try it. Solve the puzzle and see it appear.
Cool.
And there are 5 more. Cool. This is a cute little mystery. It looks like you're just traversing the air. Now, there will be danger in here. Like giant weasels. But for the most part, this is just a maze. You got to work your way through. You get to the Palace of Spires. And again, it's colorful. It's bright. It's beautiful. It is the opposite of the shit that we get in most dungeons, right?
Yeah.
But this is a large area for you to explore. And there's a conclusion. Returning to the garden, if you respected a tomb or desecrated it, there will be a different outcome. And then you complete the quest. You can either...
Does it define what respecting and desecrating a tomb is?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then also if you bring a couple of important NPCs back with you, there are different outcomes to if you leave them behind.
Okay.
So, and then that brings us to Chapter 5.
Chapter 5, Pharaoh. You're totally going to get the Tomb of Soskanth.
Fuck, I am too.
And I get Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Yes.
I would have liked to have Pharaoh, if I can be perfectly honest, because I fucking love the Egyptian setup here.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Like I say, I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the same time, I will rock the shit out of the watching of The Mummy. So,
hey, O'Connell, looks like I got all the horses.
Hey, Benny, looks like you're on the wrong side of the river.
Well,
God, we're nerds. Anyways.
Did you know that, I don't know if you're aware of this, that I sat down with, I think it was Mieka and Megan, and we did a mailbag episode only about the Mummy series.
Good.
Where we went through all of that fucking nonsense.
Including the Tom Cruise ones?
It was mentioned and not loved.
No, because they're garbage.
It's just the one, because God knows they couldn't get funding for the rest of that universe.
Well, that's because they wanted to make Russell Crowe friggin' Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. And they did. And he was walking around as Dr. Jekyll. And I guess also Mr. Hyde. But.
Yes. Anyways, so Pharaoh, few deserts are as harsh as in his spot. Gonna say that as...
This is all staying in.
Yeah. Few deserts are as harsh and inhospitable as the Desert of Desolation, where the sun, the wind, and the land itself seems to despise all living things.
The Desert of Desolation is such a lazy fucking name. Why can't it never be...
No, it's not lazy. It's classic. It's classic.
The Jungle of Desolation would be far scarier than I think the Desert of Desolation. The Desert of Desolation...
The Jungle of Desolation just sounds like something's going to happen with a tentacle or a vine, and I'm not okay with that.
You can lie to me, and you can lie to the internet, but you can't lie to yourself, Dan.
Fucking watch me. All right, so... the door is this intricate, beautiful...
That's one thing that I didn't point out up until this point.
They've been giving us the door that's on the staircase for each one of these.
Which I truly appreciate.
Of course they are, right?
Yeah.
So there's ways to get this in, including setting this in Greyhawk, Eberron, or Dragonlance. And the Desert of Desolation might be another name for the Bright Desert. In Greyhawk.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. The Plains of Dust as another one. That's
that's
one.
Eberron.
No, that's Dragonlance.
Oh, is it?
It's the Blade Desert.
I'm not familiar with that. All right.
All right. Anyways. There are rules about surviving in the desert.
Good. That was one of my favorite things about Tomb of Annihilation.
Including random encounters within the desert.
Good. Is it a decent list, or is it just like a D10 table?
It's a D6 table. It's not that decent. However, it is 2 bullets, a dust storm, Grix, a Nefertiti, wyverns, and a lush oasis.
Did you say wyvern?
Wyvern.
Not wyvern?
Wyvern.
Since when?
Always?
We've called it wyverns in our campaign for so long. You've always just said wyverns with the rest of
I
us.
just let the silly people do what they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you're wrong, but all right.
I'm not. Anyways, so there is a ghost who will give you a quest to go and raid his tomb, I guess. And yeah, there is a maze within the pyramid that you have to make your way through.
That's a pretty decent little maze.
It is a pretty decent little maze. And there are different, at intersections, there are different encounters at each little intersection.
Beauty. I've got Mieke in a maze right now, and I might throw these things at her.
Yeah, there's a Gynosphinx. Of course, there's Minotaurs. And this is not the kind of Minotaur that you want to fuck. It is the kind of Minotaur that will fuck you up. Right? Which
I'm sorry. Are there Minotaurs you want to fuck, Dan?
they made the medium. I'm not a fan of making them playable characters. I've never been a fan of making Minotaurs or Centaurs or anything like that like playable characters.
No, I'm backing up. I hear what you're saying, but I'm backing up. I'm asking you again. Do you want to fuck a Minotaur, Dan?
Okay, so this is going to open your world into a certain fandom that you are not that well versed in, and that's Critical Role, where one of the characters came back from a long absence playing and I quote, a Minotaur that everyone wants to fuck. That was his basis of making the character.
Is it, what's his face who played Scanlan?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, we're going to move on. There are the Halls of the Upper Priesthood, which involve a river that go down.
Does it not like a Minotaur would?
Yeah. You grab it by the ring. No, anyways. There's the dome.
He just Minotaur that ass right up. All right, next.
Grabbed him by the tusks. Uma, a valiant.
Those are horns.
Well, I mean, they could be tusks.
No, they fucking can't. Oh my god, fuck off.
Uma, a valiant warrior who heeded Amun-Sa's call, fends off hordes of ghasts. So, like, there are adventurers stuck in here that you could rescue. And I want to point out, the words hordes of ghasts.
I do appreciate that.
7 ghasts in one fight.
All right.
Yep. That's okay. When you're done, then you could go fight 3 wraiths.
Jesus Christ.
And then Nefik, the undead former high priest of Amun-Sa, is the villain of all this, and he's a mummy.
Mummy or Mummy Lord?
I don't know. Probably Mummy Lord.
Just based on the artwork.
Based on the artwork, I want to say Mummy Lord. He's casting spells.
Sure. I mean, mummies can cast spells too, but it's limited. Is that a flying longship as well above the desert on the way out?
Yes, a reed boat.
I love it.
It carries the treasures of the pharaoh Amun-Sa.
Nice. It's Amun-Sa.
Cool. This is so cool. Anyways, the Lost Caverns of Shoketh. So I want to point out, I'm not sure how familiar you are with this particular work of art, but in the Lost Caverns of Xos'tanth, the cover of it, I'm pretty sure, was of a...
Yeah, it shows it on the next page. A Behir
shooting
lightning breath.
But they've remade it here. I wonder if the other ones are the same.
Well, okay, let me just flip backwards.
Because if they've just remade the art...
It's hard to tell with the Lost City because it just looks like cultists standing around for both. But let me jump to another one. There's Lost City still. Where are we now?
Lost City seems like one of the bigger ones here.
One of Starfalls has a...
Family of giant eagles?
No, it looks...
griffins.
Yeah, they're griffins. No.
Oh, okay.
No. Did any of them do it? Pharaoh is... I doubt it. That's not... Actually, kinda. Pharaoh kinda did. It's got this kind of magical spectral person looking at the horizon.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So, like, by description, I think, probably yes.
I doubt Beyond the Crystal Cave did.
No, it's not the same.
Okay.
So, okay.
But this one is with the Bahir.
The Bahir.
I love Bahir.
Yes, I'm a big fan. Megan does not like them. When she covered them in an episode, she was not pleased.
Why?
Because she thinks they're gross. Too many legs.
Okay.
You know, Megan and Bugs, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
Deep in the Yaddle Mountains lie the lost caverns of Sajkant. Sorry, it's pronounced Sajkan.
No, it's not.
Sajkan. That makes it far more fucking palatable. Sajkan. Formerly occupied by the legendary archmage Igwilv, the Witch Queen.
Yep.
And yeah, the premise of this one is just nobody knows if she's still there or not, but that like it's still there. So go in and get
her
the
essence
shit.
is echoing throughout it.
Yeah, it's full of a bunch of monsters, but no one should have the item she had, so go loot it.
Yeah. Traps, by the way.
Yeah. All the same, using the Infinite Staircase, Adventure Hooks, Setting the Adventure Eberron, and the Forgotten Realms, so only the 2 for this one. Character advancement, you'll level up twice in it, and then you start the adventure. Oh, you get a full hex grid of the Yaddle Mountains.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's only a handful of locations there, but and there's 8 random encounters, including a wyvern roost.
You mean a wyvern roost?
I don't.
Okay.
But there are, when you get here, you'll run into this. When you get here, there's border patrols and dragons.
I mean, it's also it is
fire giants.
It is a mountain range.
Yeah, There
have been dozens upon dozens of random encounter tables produced for things like this. Go nuts.
Yeah. The first bit is the same as what was released in the Descent into the Lost Caverns of Sajkan. So that's it's literally that section takes you up to section 16.
Okay.
Right? So you get through this area through the lesser caverns, right?
Cool.
You start off, there are a bunch of stone faces at the beginning, and they kind of some tell the truth and some tell lies, and you can ask them a bunch of questions. One will tell you the shortcut to bypass it all. Otherwise, there's a bunch of dead ends, and it's like a little maze. So, and then that's the same artwork. There's patches, there's trolls, there's...
What level do players need to be for this one?
I assume... I skipped it. I assume it's level 9-ish, because we gotta level up through it, and...
4 to 6 9th level characters.
So, yeah, 4 to 6 9th level characters. Umber Hulks, Galabdur, Troglodytes. This is far more fleshed out. And then we get the Greater Caverns. So this is a more detailed version of the cheap, shitty one that they had for promotional material.
Yep.
Comparatively, don't buy that one. Just do this.
Yeah.
And then that's a Barogura, which is always fun. I do love them.
Isn't that a Gristor demon?
No, that's a Barogura.
Barogura, yeah.
Yeah, Guristos they've got the bigger arms that end in the claws and the lower arms are small, and a goat head. So Barguras are ape demons, right? Labyrinth encounters, Cave of the Skull, Pillared Cavern, Rotting Fungus Cavern, the Giant Lair, which looks like it's fire giants. Shriekers, there's a rhinoceros. Oh no, 2 giant beetles use the rhinoceros stat block. Okay. Helmed Horrors, Animated Armor, a few Chasmes.
Nice.
Yep. I'm always a fan of Chasmes. They're low-key one of my favorite demons. And who is this lovely human being? The Demonomicon of Igwilv.
That's Igwilv.
That's post Tasha. So Tasha after the glow up. So there's a bunch of there's information about the Horde, what you get when you go through it, and then there's a Demonomicon, which is cool. And that brings us. We don't need to cover the expeditions.
We do.
All right.
It looks like a spaceship door.
Yes.
That makes me so happy. It looks like a spaceship door. There's Aphelion 3000, an evil supercomputer, commands a fleet of cold-hearted robots on a crashed spaceship. If you don't know anything about Expedition to Barrier Peaks, it's
laser guns and spaceships.
It's laser guns and spaceships in D&D. It is absolute insanity.
Earlier this week, we just released an episode about Starspawn, and the first one next week is us talking about why we don't like aliens in our D&D. So the fact that we're covering this now is really funny.
But I love Expedition to Barrier Peaks.
It is the sole exception that I'm willing to put up with because it is a classic, but for the most part, I'm not a fan of this.
They have not remade the cover for this one.
No.
I mean, the cover for, and I'm kind of sad because the cover for...
It's iconic.
It's iconic. It's got the man-eater, swallowing the adventuring party into it. They got the cleric of the fight or whatever it is wrapped up in a tentacle.
If I end up with
right?
man-eater stuck in my head for the rest of the night, I'm going to be mad at you.
And instead the big splash art is if Wally went bad.
I don't know, man. That looks like it is like it's almost got like a Prometheus vibe.
Very Prometheus vibe
to the architecture.
Yeah. But that is the visage of the artificial antagonist. This is so cool. Okay, so the spaceship. It starts you right off at the spaceship.
Oh, you don't have to go find it?
Well, 1 second. Let's see. Setting the adventure is a part of the Great Peak Mountains. The spaceship crashed. So I think you have to go to the mountains to find it, but they don't really cover that. It just goes straight into the spaceship.
Yeah, in the classic, you've got to, there's, what was it? Was it a column of smoke in the...
Oh, wait a minute.
That you got to follow?
Yeah, wait a minute. Approaching the spaceship. So, like,
okay,
they're yeah. But, nope, that is like a single paragraph, my man.
Sure, but how much... Look, at this point in my career as a Dungeon Master, this late in 5th edition, who's picking up this book if they don't know how to get you through fucking wilderness?
Yeah, that's true, too.
At this point, right?
I do want to say that there is roles for figuring out the alien technology, which is really good, including what happens when there's a failure. And then there's a D100 table for spaceship trinkets. You love trinkets, Adam.
I love trinkets. And I do love spaceships. 86.
86. We got a small glass terrarium with an empty cocoon in it.
Neat.
Give me 2 more.
All right. 69.
Nice. A countertop appliance that could transform any fruit into a pulpy juice. You get a juicer. You get a literal juicer.
I found this thing. It blends something. I'll call it a juicer. And a 15.
A 15. Handheld cylinder that produces a 15-foot cone of bright light for up to 1 hour every 24 hours. You get a flashlight.
It's a rechargeable flashlight.
It's a rechargeable flashlight.
That's really funny.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you get into the spaceship. It describes what the spaceship is like, what key card access within the spaceship looks like.
Like your barbarian is going to be so confused.
So confused. Yeah. He's just, this is also weird.
Although he gets a ray gun later, I think.
There's a ray gun in here. There is random spaceship encounters which involve 2d10 Vegapygmy scavengers and 1d4 Vegapygmy thorny hunters. So like the ship crashed in the jungle, in the barrier peaks, and is being raided by Vegapygmies.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to explain my love for the map that just appeared in front of me. It looks like a digital readout on a computer monitor, like on a spaceship monitor, of the floor plan of the spaceship. It is absolute, like it's thematic and beautiful. Like they've clearly put the work into this.
There's a map, and there it is. Revel's End, I think, that is very reminiscent of just like the hard corners. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. It's in Keys from the Golden Vault. That's super like high tech looking as well, and it's the only other high tech map I can think of.
Cool recreation areas. It goes through all of it. There's a suit of powered armor stands in a metal alcove. Chung 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 magic armor.
There it is.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is Revel's End, but there's like the high-tech version of it that you would see on a computer screen as well.
Why is that there, though?
Because it is the most high-tech prison of all time, and you're trying to break into it. It's like a supermax prison.
Well, isn't Revel's End in
it's in Toral. It's
in Icewind Dale, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, clearly based on the art.
That's the one that they start at in the D&D movie. They're at Revel's End.
Oh, is that where they are?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought so. I could be wrong. But we have Mind Flayer in a space suit.
Well, I mean, which fuck they should, right?
They 100% should.
It gives me such fucking Independence Day vibes, right?
Yeah.
The alien in a spaceship.
3 malfunctioning physical training droids.
You are so happy right now.
Oh, I might have to borrow this book for a minute.
You could just buy it yourself.
I could just buy it myself, or I could take it from you. You're not running. Oh my god, there's a Froghemoth.
I told you that at the beginning of the episode.
It's Expedition Barrier Peaks. I know there's a Froghemoth in it. But like this is
probably a Froghemoth Elder.
This is the most beautiful Froghemoth I've ever seen.
Dan, put your dick away.
But it's got like all those tentacles.
Dan.
Okay. So There are several layers of this. A cute little bunnyoid, literally bunnyoid, sits on a stump.
Don't trust it.
Don't trust the bunnyoid. Never trust the bunnyoid.
It's that moment of the cute aliens in Galaxy Quest.
Yep, it's true. And I mean, there's intellect devourers.
Of course there would be.
Yeah. So it looks like the expedition to Barrier Peaks isn't the full expedition. It's just the spaceship part of it.
So the climax of it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean...
it's kind of... I wish there was more there, but at the same time, the spaceship is the reason you do Expedition to Barrier Peaks, and they do it well.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't need an entire... Okay, look. They gave us Tomb of Annihilation when it was just the Tomb of Horrors after a long-ass hex grid for
fair enough.
80% of it. And one of our biggest complaints is that there's not enough Tomb of Annihilation in the Tomb of Annihilation.
Yep, fair enough.
Right? So having the big lead-in and whatnot, you could literally take Tomb of Annihilation and then change the, like, curse behind it and then drop the spaceship in, right?
Yep.
And just run that for a couple of sessions ahead of time.
That's also true.
Right? Yep. So I have no problem adapting that kind of shit, so... magic items and technology here. There's the Wondrous Lanthorn, which is just a bejeweled, I think, lantern. Yeah, with different lenses on it that you can...
It's a lantern.
No. It's this is a wondrous item. It's an artifact that requires attunement. Depending on which gem that you're using for the lens, it can... there's a fuel cost. For 2,000 gold pieces, you can disintegrate someone.
It's a beholder in a jar?
There's reverse gravity, disintegrate, haste, flame strike, hold monster, fear, slow, and prismatic wall. Prismatic wall is if you combine 4 gems at once. And then...
As somebody who is currently dealing with a player who accidentally rolled an incredibly powerful artifact for an item, be careful with this.
Yeah, I feel
Johnny's got prayer beads.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they got Windwalk. There goes all my fucking exploration. He rolled it. He legitimately rolled it.
Well, good luck, Dan.
Yeah. And I'm like, how am I going to take that away from you?
Right?
I don't want to be an adversarial DM, but fuck, I'm that adversarial about that thing.
There's the Staff of Ruling, which is a rare staff. Heretic, the Longsword. It's got sentience. It's got a personality to it.
Cool.
Under the technology, and this will, of course, be for the last adventure, right?
Yeah.
Anti-gravity belt, grenades, needler pistol, which is the noisy cricket.
Yeah.
For Men in Black, paralysis pistol, powered armor, robot controller, and
ray gun.
And that's it. Well, that'll be the needler pistol.
That'll probably be the needler pistol. Yeah.
And then we're on to the creatures, starting off with android.
Cool. Yeah, you get androids, which are like the training bots. A bark burr.
Are they trained in etiquette and protocol?
And over 3 million types of language. The bark burr, which is a small plant, but it's a person.
Sure. Is it a plant type? Like, it is a small plant?
It is a small plant.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, we don't have enough.
What's a CR?
3.
Fuck, they need to give us fae and plants and wilderness and beasts and shit that are above CR7. I'm getting tired of this low-level shit.
We got a couple of Darrows. They're not the base level Darrows, so I don't think that they're reprints. They're just additional forms.
What are they called?
Darrow Apprentice and the Darrow Raider. They are CR1 and quarter.
If they're printed here, they might have been in another book. That's just... It's guaranteed to not be in Monster of the Multiverse or the Monster Manual.
We have a stat block for Drelniza, who is Igwelv's daughter.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, there you are.
Yeah. It's...
I wonder, is that who it was at the end? It wasn't Igwilf? It was...
Probably Drelniza, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Then we have the...
splash page art.
Splash page art of the Froghemoth Elder with, like, deer running away, and it towers over them. This is a huge monstrosity that is about... it's got layer effects and regional effects with alien flora.
There you go. Good.
It is
cool.
CR15.
Nice.
That's beautiful. You have the Gardener, who's a CR12 Archfey.
Again, I feel like Archfey need to be... Like, they're all, like, middle of tier 3. I just want there to be, like, a CR21 Archfey.
Gibberlings are small fiends.
Oh.
They are new demons.
Oh, hold on.
Including a swarm of Gibberlings.
These are not new. Those are holdovers from 4th edition.
Yep, they are. They serve Demogorgon.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Demogorgon was a particularly nasty there were a couple of adventures, I think, in 4th edition that were revolved around him. So
Yep.
I don't know why they showed up here. Maybe they're replacing something else, but like...
So the leprechaun is not... I really am a fan that they are not the traditional looking...
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
I mean, they will always be that in my table, but they are little green-skinned, mushroom-headed fae. They're small fae, typically neutral.
Are they actually mushroom head, or are they just wearing a mushroom
Those are
cap?
actual mushrooms.
Yeah, but is that just a mushroom cap? Did he just put on a hat because he's little?
I don't think so. I think that's growing off his head. But they are speed 30 feet, small fae, CR 4. They have a monstrous amount of things they can do, including they get cunning trick.
They're going to be tricksy little guys. They're going to be a pain in your ass.
And
right?
they're very heavily focused on luck.
Nice.
And they have a cobbler's hammer as a weapon.
So do I. Oh, it's not a weapon. It's a weapon of love.
That's not the thing. Okay, so then we have the Maskin I Borzorg, which is a large construct.
Sure.
That the Zwerfneblin made in that one thing. We're going to keep going here. Memory Web.
Yeah, what's the memory web?
It is a CR4 large aberration, typically neutral evil.
This is what the Iron Shadow manifested as.
Yeah,
right, so.
and it like eats your brain, drains your memories.
Cool, okay.
Yep. We got a stat block for Naphis, who is a CR23.
Sure, I don't know why they stat him out. You're never going to get high enough to fight him, and...
Even if you are, why?
Yeah,
He's chaotic good. But you don't get a lot of good CR23 stat blocks.
I mean, that's true. Outside of the metallic dragons, that's relatively true.
Yeah.
I don't hate that they included it. I'm just like... Yep, weird. Okay.
Nafik this is the mummy. It's a mummy lord. It's got all the mummy lord things.
Cool. Okay.
Dreadful glare and all that.
Yeah, but mummies have dreadful glare too.
Unholy beam.
That sounds unique. What's the spell list? That'll tell you. Is it a decent spell list?
Thaumaturgy command, silence, insect plague. I might just be a standard mummy. It's CR6. It's just a standard.
It's just a mummy. Yeah.
All right. Well, you got a new form of elementals. A whole slew of robots.
It's pronounced robot.
It's not. There is a named human sorcerer named Sion, who's part of the Tower of Heavens thing, and he has a shadow sword.
All right.
Yep. Then you have the Tower Stewards.
You're getting some cultists. There's your veggie pygmies.
There's your veggie pygmies. These veggie pygmies look like Abe's Odd Tale. It's a video game.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. But they look really, really cool. But you get a veggie pygmy mold maker, scavenger, and thorny hunter.
I was going to say they look a little bit like a thorny hunter. It's cool to get another kind of thorny. I thought they would look like evil Pikmin.
Yep. Yeah. The wolf in sheep's clothing. So you know how you said be careful of the bunnyoid?
Oh, yeah. Don't trust that.
That's because it's the wolf in sheep's clothing, and the art is literally the bunnyoid thing. Yeah.
So the creature's actually the stump. The bunnyoid is the end of a tentacle.
It's a mimic plant.
Yeah, cool. I'm about it.
Yeah, completely harmless lure. The wolf in sheep's clothing can change color, texture, and shape of its lure to resemble a tiny beast or tiny object.
This is the thing.
Yes.
Nice.
Cool.
And then Zargon the Returner.
Who's a CR17.
What? Aberration?
Aberration.
Nice. We don't have a whole lot of, aberration stat blocks. Again, when we get to this high level, we always end up with, the named guys.
Yep.
I kind of want them to just have, generic... the Drow Matron Mother is just a CR20.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's what I want.
They also give us a index of the stat blocks sorted by CR.
And type as well as listed out as well. That's cool. That's fun. All right. Let's grab dice. I got questions.
Sure.
You roll the red one.
Uno.
Dos. I'm going first with a 2. All right. So, overall impression of the content. I'm fairly pleased with this.
I'm also fairly pleased with it.
Is it the best book that we have for 5th edition?
No, not at all.
Is it the best anthology? It's up there.
I could make an argument, yeah.
It's up there, right? I really do love Yawning Portal.
I love Yawning Portal as
but
well.
I
don't think
feel
anything
like
shakes a candle at Yawning Portal.
Well, this does. Yawning Portal fails in the monster stat blocks.
That's true.
That's
this
the problem.
Does not.
This doesn't. No. So this has greater variety and a better through plot.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Plus, while Yawning Portal does have 7, this has only 6, but you can't really play the Tomb of Horrors.
No, you can't.
Right? So, it's included in that book, but you don't.
And each one of those 6 modules, adventures, is very well fleshed out and thought out, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, I'm relatively pleased with this, as a matter of fact. So how do you feel about the art? I like the art.
It's gorgeous. This was not the letdown that I thought it would be.
No, what do you think it was going to be?
Well, I thought that this would just be that soft underhand, right? None of this. This was.
Well, I mean, they're standing on the shoulders of giants to be able to get this done as well, but
it's the reason people watch college football and not the NFL, right? Because the people who are in college football they have another step to go to where they can make all their money, and they are playing harder, they are playing better.
It feels like everyone brought their A game.
They bring in their A game. That's what they did with this. They brought their A game in every aspect.
I understand that the new player's handbook that's coming out will have tactical choices made based on sales and player feedback and whatnot. This didn't have that. I feel like the tactical shit about it would have been like, what artist are we bringing on? All of the good ones? Sure, great. I feel like they just have a bunch on
They do.
retainer at this point. They do. And then, but also, like, the strategic decisions that were being made were, which adventures do we include? And there's nothing missing.
Nope.
Right? So, what grade do you give it?
A.
Yeah? I think you're more generous than I am.
I was debating giving it an A-, but I can't think of a negative.
So here's
Not a glaring negative, at least.
Here's my negative. And this is just the nature of the anthology book. Okay, so like it's already got a strike against it. Nefas sends you out to do these 6 things. You do them, you go back, and what? Then what? What is your payoff at the end of this campaign?
It does say that at the end of each of them. There's a little payoff for it, and then...
Yeah, there's a little reward, but the reward for Barrier Peak is going to be, an appropriately weighted reward, the same way that it was appropriately weighted for the Lost City or whatever, right? So if it's an appropriately weighted reward, and then you go back to the Infinite Staircase, what then? Are you just done? Thanks. Those are all the prayers I needed answered, or all the wishes. That's it. Off you go.
Fair enough.
Right? Where's the Iron Shadow battle that we should have had at the end of this? Like, there should be a little hints. Like, I want 2 pages between every chapter about what are you doing before the next thing? What are you doing? Right? And then at the end, 10 pages of wrapping up on the Infinite Staircase. Right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So when you say there's nothing missing, it's the nature of the anthology. It's just the fact that it is 6.
It's not anthology enough for you.
Well, no, it's 2 anthology.
It's 2 anthology for you. Yeah.
So, but again, you can just pick one up and play it, and that is perfectly fine. So I do love that. I'm going to give it an A-. Everything it did well. It's still not a perfect anthology. I think I could make a better anthology. And I'm not saying I'm better than the people at WotC. I think I could just tie it together. Give me an extra 20 pages. I could tie this book together, and it would fucking knock it out of the park.
I think a lot of the people who wrote for this could also do the same thing, but they are bound by a certain amount of pages, right?
Sure, of course, because, money.
Yeah.
Right. So, when should someone add this publication to their library?
If you are an experienced DM running not your first campaign, but your second campaign, and want to have some filler things on the back burner in case your party does something absolutely bonkers. And you say, okay, we're gonna go do this for the next month and a half, right? So,
month and a half might be lowballing it, depending on some tables. I think each one of these adventures is probably going to run you a solid 20 hours of gameplay, maybe more.
Okay.
So most people play 2 to 3 hours. That's 8 to 10 sessions. That could be quite a bit. Some people might just blitz through. The way that we play, we'd blitz through some of these. So,
or it'll take us 2 years to get through the first 4 pages of one of them.
Yeah, there's that or that.
Yes. Yeah.
When should you add this to the group, to your publication history? I'll tell you this. Once you have your players' books and you've got your DM's books, your monster manuals and the Book of Many Things is really the next best thing we had to a DMG2. So having that kind of shit already in your repertoire, you'll have played Curse of Strahd, or at least picked it up because everyone does.
I would get this before Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, but you have played Curse of Strahd. Yeah, the average first, the new person would probably pick up Curse of Strahd first, or whatever the thing that they're passionate about, whatever story. This feels like, yeah, you're right, the second round. You want to know what I want to do? There's 6 adventures in this, and then there's the framing. I want to run the framing section. And then we'll start the first one with Charlie DMing it, the second one with Casey DMing it, and we'll work our way through our 7 players, or our 6 players, and me as the framing device. And so that we all have a chance to DM a short little period of a very, very specific, well thought out, because it wasn't just well thought out. It was well thought out originally, and that's why it made it a classic. And then they took a look at it and said, what's going to streamline this to make it better for modern audiences, right? So there's not going to be, the old stuff just had like weird details in it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, here's a chart on the 45 different kinds of horses that I don't fucking need, right? Like, that shit is gone. It's scooped out of the guts of it to make it easier.
They're concentrated.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. This is good. Anyway, I think that this is probably in the realm of the 8th or 9th book. If you're looking at Tales from the Yawning Portal as your next one, this is a contender if you want to do this instead. I don't see any problem doing this before Yawning Portal, or vice versa.
I don't think you actually gave this a letter grade.
Yeah, I said A-.
A-, okay.
Yeah. So, you said A, I said A-. Just for a heads up, the Yawning Portal, Brad and I gave it both a B+. But it was mostly because the framework fell flat.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's just the nature of, like, it kind of has It Was All a Dream framework. Like, let me tell you the stories that we've done in the past, right? So, anyway, that's it for this episode on Quests from the Infinite Staircase. If you've been inspired by any conversations in this episode, you can reach us through our subreddit, r/itsAmimic, our Facebook group, or our Instagram. And of course, the patrons, you guys can hit us up through our Patreon Discord. So,
if you'd like to support us, you can check out the show notes below for the links to our Patreon, as well as our website where you can donate or check out our store. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and leave a positive review. Every little bit helps.
Thank you for listening to Legend Lore from the It's a Mimic podcast. New releases will be aired on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as dozens of other podcast apps, and previously published materials will be discussed on our Patreon. If you are interested in more tabletop role-playing game conversations, please browse the episode guide at www.itsamimic.com. Soundtrack. Don't run. We are your friends. Hi, Scraniel. How are you?
Hi, Adam. I'm doing okay.
Thank God for alcohol.
Very much so.
Do you have the script up?
I don't. Sorry. I got distracted by emails. What email do I use for all of this? Right.
Don't need to send you the link again?
No, I got it. Don't you dare. Legend Lore show notes template. There we are. Nope, that's not it. Show notes. That's it. Legend Lore template. There it is.
Yay.
Who's DM1?
That'd be me.
All right.
I mean, hell, you can take it if you want, but I just know the...
No, you do it, man.
Sure, all right.
You do you. I did the past, 4 of these things as the DM. I'm like, sure.
Oh, did you? It should have been Brad every time.
Oh, really? Oh, Brad's a piece of shit then, because he was just like, oh, yeah, Dan, it's you.
No, your guest star status. Brad is actual fucking host at this point, right?
Oh, don't tell him that. That'll go right to his head.
So, yeah, that's why Brad gets to do DM1 shit all the time.
No, I'm here to make Brad look good. It's an audio medium.
Fuck. And we have the ability to edit, so there we go.
This isn't getting cut.
No. Fuck you, Brad.
Fuck you, Brad.